at 7:03 p.m. on Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Everybody could rise and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Washington, call the roll.
Trustee Carr. Here. Trustee Hart. Trustee Lynch.
Here.
Trustee Rowe. Here. Trustee Taylor. Here. Trustee Williams.
Present.
Somebody like to make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of November 7th, 2023? Trustee Rowe. Trustee Taylor. Any questions or changes? Clerk Washington, call the roll.
Trustee Carr.
Yes.
Trustee Hart. Trustee Lynch. Trustee
Yes.
Trustee Rowe. Yes. Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Bills payable November 16th, 2023, corporate in the amount of $57,220.64. Sewer and water, $28,796.80. Motor fuel tax, $3,800. Glenwood golf course, $11,051.24. For a total of all funds, $101,868.68. Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Rowe. Any questions? Quick question, call the roll.
Trustee Carr.
Yes.
Trustee Hart. Trustee Lynch.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe. Yes. Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Payroll as of the date of October 20th, 2023, corporate $136,370.69. Sewer and water, $17,566.85. Paid on call, $9,657.96. Elected positions, $941.52. Glenwood golf course, $31,104.30. Vendor checks, $2,055.60. Overtime police, $14,964.11. Reimbursement fire stipend, $461.52. Total payroll, $213,391.94. Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Is that Trustee Rowe? Taylor. Trustee Taylor, do we have a second? Second. Trustee Clark, any questions?
Mayor, the total, I need to get correct, is $214,676.46.
214, I'm sorry, what?
214,676.46.
Okay.
And how much it is.
Trustee Taylor, will you amend your motion?
Question.
Sure.
You go over the figures that are right here on the agenda.
Is that what you're doing, Trustee?
No, based on the figures that I see, the amount, total amount should be 214,676.46.
And you added up all the line items? Is that what you did? Trustee Taylor, do you want to amend your motion to change the dollar amount to $214,676.46? Trustee Clark, you want to amend your motion? The new dollar amount? Okay.
The $642.
Yes.
That's a top amount.
Well, that's right. Do you get any of that as a positive under the reimbursable? Yeah.
Yes, the sewer and
Put
water,
that out.
no, I didn't. We still have to pay it out, and we'll get reimbursed, that's your part, so,
But that,
but even if you take it out, that's still a different amount of 213, that's like 203,968.67.
Okay, so we got a amended first and second. Clerk Washington, call roll.
Unless you want to just, if you just want to take this, come back to the meeting.
What was that?
That's a higher dollar.
Clerk, watch and call roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hart? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Roll?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Payroll is November 17, 2023, corporate $142,533.60. Sewer and water $10,144.03. Holiday pay $2,057.52. Paid on call $10,148.19. Elected positions $961.54. Moody Golf Course $18,089.27. Vendor checks $2,131.48. Overtime police $17,482.45. Sewer and water $1,304.29. Public works overtime $702.31. Fire stipend $461.52. For total payroll $206,016.20. Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Lynch. We have a second.
So moved.
Trustee Williams. Any questions? Clerk Washington, call roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hart? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Roll?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public for anything anybody wants to bring up. You just come up and write your name and address down and the rest of the board.
Leon Fields, 307 on Maryland. I'll be brief. I've got two issues, Mayor and trustees. One is on the budget, and it's just a general statement. We have three major taxing bodies, and each of the three is doing new construction. The village is doing a firehouse. District 167 is doing a arts and performance building, actually building a new building, an add-on to take care of STEM, art and performance. The library is doing an outdoor seating building. As we consider this budget, I think, and I recall why we don't have a park district. It is because the real estate taxes was too high, or the residents thought they would be too high, and the referendum was voted down. Because District 206, which is Bloom High School, put a referendum out the same time that we did, and the voters voted it down. So I'd ask the board to consider all things as you come forth to make a decision on the budget. The second thing is, I guess we need to have greater communications, and this is actually on the residents. I've never seen Glenwood look this bad in terms of leaves, etc. Now I know that the village has done its job in terms of having free leaf pickup the month of November and the first Tuesday of December. But the residents don't know it. And they're sweeping and raking leaves out into the street. It's a bad situation because if it's not corrected, what we'll do is we'll end up plugging our storm drain, and we'll put ourselves in a bad situation. We'll have sewage bagging up in the basement. We can have a real bad situation from this. So I would say that there should be some kind of communication. I know sometimes the village puts out gazettes or whatever, newsletters. There should be something to let the residents know that there is free leaf pickup, because some people are stacking leaves up in their yards and their driveways. They could very easily put them out where they could be collected and taken away. And I think we just need to reach out to our new residents. Not only do we have new residents, but we have renters. And Glenwood looks bad. I blame the residents, but I blame the village for not getting communications out to the residents. Thank you.
Melinda Plot, 423 West Maricopa. The Finance Committee had an opportunity to meet over the last couple of months to review the budget and give recommendations. And I want to know if you had a chance to look at them and if you had any questions.
Thank you for that, Mr. Plott. Because I remember talking to Chairman Slaughter last week, not last week, but last meeting. He did say that you guys have an opportunity to convene for this board meeting. So I was able to see some online, but I did not see a budget recommendation from the committee in the packet. I did see the recommendation for the redevelopment agreement, but I did not see a recommendation from the finance committee for the budget.
It was emailed yesterday.
Michelle.
Well, I stand corrected, forgive me, I didn't see. Forgive me, so the board, I
You
didn't
want
get a
to
chance.
look at it or you want to read it?
Please.
Can you back to this?
Personal email.
Do you want me to read it or do you want to read it yourself?
I can read myself, I'll read it, but while she's doing that, so I can look over, well, yes, but let me ask you another question. Then you can read the statements. As far as again, I could have overlooked it, but based on recommendation for Tuscan Gardens, what were some of the documents that were missing that the owner was asked for information?
I didn't quite hear.
So what were the documents that were not provided to the finance committee?
There was no financials. There were no financials. At this point, there's been no proof or any type of financial paperwork that's been submitted to say that they would have the opportunity to be able to pay. They're in default. The contract says that if they're in default, then they have to pay the full amount. There's nothing that's been submitted to say that they would be able to get out of this default, and how would they pay us within 2 weeks. The other consideration is also that we've already denied an extension for another proposal, and at this time we don't understand why we would consider something contrary to what we've already said for someone else that's in default.
Any other questions?
No other questions, but can you read to me what you have for the budget? If it's too extensive, just.
No. In consideration of the fiscal 2023-24 budget of the Village of Glenwood, the Finance Committee makes the following recommendations. The budget be approved as presented with the following caveats. Salary increases for directors to be noted. 8% were approved only because there were no salary movement in the prior year. This administrative staff total will be broken out as to understand what positions are being budgeted. Village administrative salary may remain stagnant until questions have been satisfied. Noted adding stated capital loan is not considered until fiscal year 25. Justification is provided regarding water late fee and legal fees averaging at least 2 years, plus inflationary increase of X%. So there's been no justification of the increase for the legal fees, and water fees is obviously not being posted in the general budget. So there's really nothing you can look at to see what are the numbers. There's no justification.
Any questions?
No.
Mr. Lynch, if you want any additional information on Tuscan Gardens, please see.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody like to make a motion for the approval of a request for executive closed session under section 2C1, personnel with action to be taken, the reason to reconvene at the end of the meeting.
So
Trustee Taylor and Trustee Williams. Clerk Washington, call roll.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Harden, trustee Lynch,
Yes.
trustee Earl. Yes. Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Williams.
I want to let everybody know that we are doing a tree lighting ceremony on December 1st at 6:30 here at the Village Hall. We're going to have Santa here, we're going to have hot chocolate, we're actually going to have live music this year. It's a family-free event. Glenwood Academy and Brookwood Junior High's choirs will be here. So it should be a very nice event, and hopefully everybody can make it. Attorney's report, agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Two items under me, and they both relate to the statute. It's called the Paid Leave for All Workers Act. This has been sending municipal attorneys giving us fits for about 6 months now. The statute provides that all workers, whether they're full-time or part-time, get 1 hour of paid leave for every 40 hours worked, which generally equates to, for a full-time person, five days a year. The statute is very poorly written. It could be interpreted as increasing the leave that we already give people, or it cannot. It's very unclear. What these ordinances do is they exercise our home rule power and the power of the State Mandates Act to opt out of these. Ultimately, the issue for me is that the people that should decide the benefits our workers receive should be members of the board. The legislature should not be out there having a one-size-fits-all solution that they then take to everybody. So what these ordinances do is they opt out of the statute just for the village of our employees, based on the following reasons. Number one, we are a home rule municipality. Our power comes from the Illinois Constitution. There are certain ways that the legislature can preempt that power, and they haven't done that with the statute. That gives us the legal ability for our employees to opt out to protect our own finances. Number two, there's a statute called the State Mandates Act. And what it says is if the state passes some law that forces municipalities and other local governments to take some action, and which costs money, we don't need to do that if the state doesn't fund it. Well, the state hasn't funded this. The law says that we need to provide everybody 5 extra days of leave, but the state's not appropriating any money or giving any money to fund it. It's under the State Mandates Act that allows us not to follow that law. And number three, there's because it's poorly drafted, there's kind of a loophole. I don't think it was intended to be a loophole, but because of their poor draftsmanship in the law, there's a loophole, which basically says that if you've adopted your benefits by ordinance, that the act doesn't apply to you. So this ordinance does in fact adopt all our prior personnel policies and resolutions and ordinance by ordinance again, so we can come to you.
Would somebody like to make it? In fact, the South Suburban Mayors and Managers right now is trying to change the legislation.
Yeah, there was. I wrote a bill for try and change it at the veto session this November. Veto session's over and whatever in Springfield, things get bogged down, and it takes forever to get anything on a committee and stuff like that. So there was never a vote on that. That hopefully still may happen. And obviously, passing this ordinance does not prevent the village from, if they wish to, through either the union negotiation process or through its policies for its own employees, if they want to give more leave, we can certainly do it. Nothing prevents us from doing that. This just stops the state statute from being effective for our village employees.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
a motion to reject the application of Public Act 102-1143 at this particular time.
There's two different ordinances because one deals with employees that are not in a collective bargaining agreement, and the second one deals with employees that are in a collective bargaining agreement. For those employees that are in a collective bargaining agreement, there's another argument as to why the statute should not apply in that the statute goes to great lengths to exempt certain construction workers' unions, but yet it does not exempt the village is collective bargaining people who, in my opinion, are very much similarly situated to. So there's a question as to whether the statute that was enforced violates what's called equal protection law by treating people that are very similarly situated differently. So that's why there's two, because one reference.
So did you make a motion, Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Second. We have a Trustee Lynch. Any questions?
So if we're home rule, John, why simply action the same? It's at the discretion of the village.
Well, if we have to exercise our own power about that, if we're not exercising our home rule power to opt out of it, they're just advising us. This is supposed to be effective January 1st, so if we don't do it now,
We have to take action.
we have to take action to be able to protect our finances, our salaries, and our payroll.
If it's not, we can't afford it.
And it's probably true.
For question, call roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hart? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Rowe? Yes. Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Item 2 is the same as the first one, except that this is for the collective bargaining agreements. Somebody like to make a motion? Trustee Rowe. We have a second. Trustee Lynch. Any questions? For question, call the roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hart? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Rowe? Yes. Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Village Administrator, Ryan Mitchell.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, residents, and guests. A couple things going on this evening. So one thing I want to bring up again, we're doing things a little bit differently this year for the Christmas lighting. So I really want to invite the residents out, the businesses out. Last week we started the business breakfast again and had a real good turnout. And so I welcome any business here in Glenwood to, again, for the next one, make sure to come out. We even have people that say instead of hosting it at the golf course, but they would like to host it at their business just so that people can see what they do at their business. The other thing I want to bring up is a brief update on the Southcom and Ecom as we continue to merge those emergency services. That is going well. We had a meeting yesterday for about 2.5 hours going through things. So just to let everybody know, we are still moving forward with that grant funding and to get that in place. One thing I want to say is as far as the finance, we have been working very diligently. When I say we, it's been Adam, myself, staff here, staff from Miller. We're getting processes documented to the extent where we can really take off and run when we get the staffing that we need. As well, one thing we found is that we kind of cleared out all the file cabinets and we set up file folders as they should be. Everything is labeled, so things get much easier to track and to find. The other update I want to give is that as we move into the winter months, for people to make sure that you're blowing your snow to the right areas, Public Works will be out. As you know, we've already got the program started for the seniors. If you haven't signed up, please get to Village Hall or call us and let us know. We'll make sure to get you on that program. The first item I have up for approval tonight in consideration is the medical insurance. At this particular time, I will welcome Mike Wojak and Kelly Shanklin to the podium to go through the updates.
Thanks, Mr. Mitchell. Good evening, Mayor, trustees. Thanks for the opportunity to be here to review the 2024 renewals that came in on our medical plan, our dental plan, and our life insurance program. You hopefully received the package this weekend on our market analysis. Each year we go out on behalf of the village and we review carriers that would be best suited to compete with the Blue Cross program. We received one quote from one carrier, 2 declined. And again, this is not uncommon. It's an appetite for public sector business.
or a complete match to your current benefits. So we did have an initial increase on the Blue Cross program, which you may recall, this is a two-step program. It involves Blue Cross to provide insurance for the village, but it also provides a gap program that's administered by a third-party administrator to help keep the costs down. The initial increase of that was 21.24%, which was unacceptable, but the market has had a tremendous impact this year on pricing. We've seen it across the board, a lot of kind of repercussions from some of the headwinds caused by the pandemic, increases in pay in hospital level, increases doctors and nurses, shortages of doctors and nurses, all across the board. But one of the biggest impacts was called risk, because a lot of folks did not get care during the pandemic. They weren't able to, or they held off. That's having an impact right now where conditions are coming back worse than had they been treated two years prior. So that's what the whole market is seeing. And so the initial increase was quite high. We were able to negotiate that back down to 12.39%, which seemed to be the best and final when we went through looking at other carriers, other options, other plan designs that were acceptable in your collective bargaining agreements for similar programs.
So if you don't mind asking, what was the industry average aside from that 21.4%? So what else was it, obviously that was the highest. So
Yeah.
to 21.39.
They initially came out across the marketplace between 15 and 30% is what we saw across the Chicagoland mid-market accounts. And that was consistent. It wasn't because of an extreme large case that somebody had in their plan or something off the charts like that. And there are cases like that today, that run up into the millions of dollars. That wasn't the case. That wasn't the case with any of these. It was the underwriting, looking at the market and saying we are a much more at-risk society. And when people are going to go get care, it's costing a lot more. So they're actually building the rates to support that.
So, for my ignorance, when they're looking at, when they say society, because are they specifically looking at the Glenwood area, or the south suburbs? Because I'm just curious as to why we're going higher in the threshold if that threshold is between 15 and 30%. What got us closer towards the 30% as opposed to?
I mean, they look also at there's three areas that go into the pricing. It's demographics, risk, and trend. Trend has
So
kicked up.
because they are considering the south suburbs, that is a component.
For the metro, Chicago metro and suburbs, yeah. So your demographics are your demographics. So those were not off scale. That's participation, ages, male, female, etc., families. The risk is something that's analyzed every year. It's two parts. There's medical, actually three parts. Medical, pharmacy, and then utilization. And that's what makes up the term trend. Medical, this year on average, was 7%. Pharmacy, however, was 13%. And then utilization is just, that's higher than past. I don't have a specific on your plan because of your case size. That's not released. But it's the trend at 7 and the pharmacy at, the low double digits. That was just a part of it. The bigger part was the risk. So they do have, the underwriters and all carriers have this, they look at what is going on in the plan and what the members' health risks look like. And that's done what they call through automatic medical underwriting. With the review of all of that, that's why our plan here came out at 20%. And again, the best thing that could help us bring that down is market competition. The United Healthcare rates didn't come in any better. They offered an alternative that might look lower on your spreadsheets, but it was with a smaller, narrower network. And we couldn't really go to, we were missing some key hospitals in that process to go that direction. And a similar direction could technically be done with Blue Cross, but that would also lower choice of hospitals. There were two other components that went into the renewal. One was the dental, and that took a 12% increase, which amounted to $3,380. This was after coming off of 2 years of no increases on the dental. The competition closest was 42% increase or 82% increase. So obviously we have a good rate at the 12. We're at 0% increase on the basic life and 0% increase on the voluntary life. So in order of looking for acceptance, it would be the Blue Cross renewal at the renegotiated rates of 12.39. The Delta Dental renewal at 12%. The Blue Cross Life at 0, and the voluntary life at 0.
Any additional questions?
Does the ratifying of our us opting out of this state mandate, the applicability of the Public Act, does that impact rates at all?
Opting out of what? I'm sorry.
The applicability act. Sorry.
The Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
Okay, so these plans do comply with the Affordable Care Act. Your plan is technically considered 50 plus, it's considered large group, so it's mandatory that the village offer insurance to at least 95% of your eligible full-time employees. If they did not, they would be assessed a penalty. Penalty has climbed closer to $3,000 per employee. Right now, it started off at $2,000 back at the beginning of the ACA.
Any additional questions? Somebody like to make a motion for the approval of Horton Medical Insurance for the recommendation of Horton, go with Delta Dental and Blue Cross Blue Shield for our medical. Is that trustee Roll? Do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Taylor, any questions? For question, call the roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hart? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Roll?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Mayor, anything else in a motion for the life insurance renewal?
Yeah, and that would be 0% increase on the Blue Cross.
Who's
Life,
the provider? Who's the provider for that?
Blue Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for life and voluntary life at 0% increase.
Okay, thank you.
You should probably do the motion.
Okay, would you amend your motion, trustee Roll, to include life insurance for Blue Cross? Will you amend your motion? Okay.
Thank you.
Clerk Washington, call the roll again.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hart? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Roll? Yes. Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Thank you for all your hard work, we really appreciate it.
I thank you very much for the relationship and happy Thanksgiving.
Mayor, the next item that is up for consideration is a request of redevelopment agreement loan modification for Tuscan Gardens. On July 18th, the board tabled it and sent it back to the Finance Committee for review. Included in your packet tonight or on Friday was the recommendations from that meeting of October 24th, 2023 from the Finance Committee. This evening we have the owner of Tuscan here with us, and if the board has any questions or wants to begin the conversation in terms of what possible decision they want to move forward with, I would entertain that.
Yeah, Rob, if you can come up and just say a few words.
I went before the board. I was not prepared. That's correct. As far as having all my finances done, I'm not the best of bookkeepers and all that, but we are growing. I try every day to make this place best it can be. I work hard, and at this time, I'm struggling. COVID didn't help. Trying to open a new business after COVID. Been going on 3 years. I've kept people employed, kept the place open. We've improved drastically of entertainment and food and everything. And all I can do is hope that I can get an extension just to give me some time. Because at this time I don't have the cash, don't have the funds to continue paying that loan. The last time I was making the payments, they were going on credit cards. Financially, I'm in debt with that, and I'm paying them down, but every day's a struggle, and I'm trying my best. I'm just looking for a little restructure, 24 months if I could, to extend it out, to help me out and get this thing off the ground.
Does anybody have any questions?
So, thanks for coming around. No secret that the village wants to maintain good relationships with all of our business owners. But the difficult part tonight is that we were here a few months ago, and the board had some intense conversations surrounding around getting about helping with some relief, right? I think that the board wanted to do that, but we had some things in front of us that we needed to see before we could answer that with the confidence. And so we gave you a good amount of time to come back with something that would say, this is where I am, this is where I'm trying to get to, and this is the roadmap of how we're going to do that, and then also do what's necessary for the village. So while the total loan was for a little over $400,000, paid back $17,000, remaining over $236,000, right? And based on the recommendation of the Finance Committee, we seem to be back where we were.
Well, the loan wasn't for 400, it was for 250.
The total.
Total I borrowed was
Total,
just right around
right,
250.
right, the biggest problem for me, and I don't speak for the entire board, is there's still no roadmap of how that's going to be impacted. And in good faith, it's really difficult to say we can give you more time and more options. But I think we've really exhausted that. So I guess, and I get it, you might not be, and I'm not the best at bookkeeping or any of that. But as a board, how are you expecting us to be able to make that decision in good faith without any type of navigation in terms of paper plan or any steps to get close to that? Because at this point, it's just like, take my word for it. And, we can't take that to the bank.
We do have, just so you know, we do have a first mortgage on that property. We're in first position. Just so you
And
know.
they don't have a mortgage on the property itself.
And the only mortgage he has is ours. So everybody knows. Any other questions?
Well, I don't have any question. I've read the report from the Finance Committee, and I receive it well, and I read a lot of the information. What I don't agree with is forgiving the loan. But I do think we should extend an olive branch presented the right information properly of how the money would be repaid. Maybe I don't necessarily agree with 24 months as the memorandum I know, but what could we do to say that we tried to help? I think that's the biggest thing here, because I don't want to see a business close that we have this business that we no longer generate revenue from either way. So what's the compromise? What can we do to meet some qualifications to say, okay, this is how I can repay you if given the opportunity and we figure out a fair time frame. I think that would be the way to go, instead of us just saying, no, 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 you weren't prepared, no, no, no. And then to say that, then if he doesn't pay, although we have first position on the mortgage, we still have to chase that and pay legal fees, etc. So we're not really solvent here. So I would recommend that we extend an olive branch, but also protect and take some of the recommendations that we were given.
So can I ask Trustee Lowe, so let me say this, that because I was on the board when this first started. So I think just in all honesty, the board needs extended knowledge. Matter of fact, quite a long and I think, which is no concession to anybody. I think that we should do that for our business owners. We want to try to keep the partners in health. And the reason for extending that branch was so that if we came back to this point, we had something in hand to be able to answer what you're asking, how we're going to do that, how's he going to pay, and here again, we don't have it. So I don't think the onus is on the village anymore to say what can we do, because we've given the opportunity to be able to come back and have that roadmap to at least put some type of plan in place. And we don't have it yet. So I want all the options. I don't, so you say, what can we do?
I respect that, I do. But what do we have now? We still have this. We're still not collecting.
We're not.
So what is the answer?
So
We could extend it for a shorter period of time to ask him to get his plan together. Maybe 6 months moratorium or something along those lines.
would 6 months Rob change anything for you?
To be honest with you, I don't think it's enough time. I've got $65,000 in credit cards. I have to get them down before I can start to make the payments to you guys. At 19%, it's killing me. And I can't go to a bank because I'm a restaurant. I would want to go to a bank, consolidate it, not a bank will look at it. And get me down to a rate that I could actually afford. So I just keep chugging away at it. And I've gotten them down from 98,000 to right around 65, 70, somewhere in that realm. And all I can do is just keep chipping. As soon as I get them chipped down, I'll have money. But as you know, if you've got a huge credit card debt, you can't get out from under it. And paying, all my employees, keeping a business open. I pay my taxes, $55,000. I just got reassessed at 7th time value. Fight now with the attorneys. I have to pay attorneys to fight, but I have paid my taxes to this point, and it's quite a chunk of change every year. And that money's going into the village. So, if I go under, what's going to happen? We're going to have nothing coming into this town. There isn't a lot here. So, and as you know, I'm there all the time. I'm working it, and I'm not going to stand by and let somebody else try and make it work. I'm doing it myself.
So Rob, if 6 months is not the answer and 24 months is not the answer, is 9 months? I can kind of give us a roadmap. I think that was the finance committee's issue.
I think within a year I could probably knock these credit cards down.
That
They would be able to have the cash to pay you guys. But right now I'm putting out $5,000 to $6,000 a month towards credit cards, and with the interest rates, I'm barely chipping them down. So that's my biggest concern. And every day I work at it, I do another job, that money goes right back to keep paying this down. But I've taken on a pretty big project.
Any other questions for Rob? So the motion would be consideration of a request for redevelopment agreement RDA loan modification for Tuscan Gardens and a 12-month payment moratorium. Does somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Trustee Roll. We have a second. We have a second.
Yes.
Trustee Williams is a second. Third question, call roll.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Hart, trustee Lynch,
No.
trustee Rowe,
Yes.
trustee Taylor, trustee Williams.
Okay. Thank you, Rob.
That's 3 ayes.
Thank you for your time. Happy Thanksgiving.
So thank you, Rob. Consideration of a replacement for a village sign.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Brian, can I just, before we move on, I just want to understand where are we going with this? Because at what point do, and I understand, I don't have business, but I have a child in college, credit cards, I have my own student loans. I understand the imbalance between debt versus I understand it wholeheartedly. And Rob, I think you're doing a fantastic job with it. I do. I really do. But at what point do we say we have to tighten the rope? We have given ample opportunity for not only Tuscan, but for Glenwood Oaks and other businesses to come up with a reasonable option to begin to pay the village, to pay the taxpayers back. And we just keep ending up at zero sum game. So we just approved this. Fantastic. It happened. It's done at this point. So we're giving him 24 months. 12 months to do what? What's going to happen after 12 months?
We're going to have to put a plan together to determine business.
And if he does,
So we have to propose on the mortgage.
Right, person.
From out of business.
And at that point, we own the property. Business goes.
Yeah, we have to go after the mortgage on the property, and we have to sell the building, we got our money back. We're in first position.
And then we wouldn't generate tax revenue after that, once the village owns the property.
Well, we would sell it.
Right, we can sell it.
We're trying to sell it, I should say. Once the village owns it, once the village owns it, it's tax exempt, so you get nothing from it. Okay, the electronic sign, Brian.
Yes, the final item for consideration tonight, Mayor and Board, is the sign outside of Village Hall is in disrepair. In your packet, I included 2 proposals. My recommendation would be that we go with the proposal from Road Sign at the amount not to exceed $21,500, and I entertain if there's any questions.
What's the name of the company?
Road Sign.
Rhoda? Okay,
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Right.
so Ryan, what will this sign do that the current sign, will we just be replacing it after so long? Is it not fixable?
Yeah, the one now is just totally dead. I mean, it's gone. Fire department had to come out a couple times to stop it from burning, but it is not replaceable. So right now, one of our main communication tools for people coming through Main Street is gone.
Yeah, that sign used to be at 187 in Halsted, and we moved it here. So that sign's got to be 25 years old. How old is it? You know? 20?
Wait a minute, the electronic printing board out in front of the village?
Yeah, that's not working.
No, I realize that, but we had 25 years.
Kevin says 18, I thought it was 25.
And then Patrick moved it over here with Eric to put it in front.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion for consideration of approval to replace the village sign with Rhoda sign in the amount of $21,500 coming from the COVID funds? Trustee Taylor. Trustee Rowe. Any questions?
This is coming from the COVID fund?
And, you know, as, you know, the residents complain all the time that we don't get information out to them, this will be a tool, but help out. It's a much, the sign is much.
No, I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not arguing this, but we have earmarked the COVID fund, we have the money, available in the COVID fund.
Yeah, we put all the sides. Probably got $600,000. 500,000 plus. Clerk Washington, call the roll.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Trustee Hart. Trustee Lynch.
Yes.
Trustee Roll. Yes. Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Williams.
Finally, City Mayor, on behalf of staff, department heads, we want to wish you, your families, happy Thanksgiving, and we hope to see everybody on December 1st here at the Village Hall for the tree lighting from 6:30 to 8:30. That concludes my items for this evening.
Right. Engineer, Dave. Well, Dave's not here. Would somebody like to make a motion? This is for the payment of the streets that we had fixed over the late summer, early fall. So this is the final payout, which Robinson Engineering approved. So if somebody could make the motion for the approval of the HRO overlay final payment in the amount of $644,090. The Gallagher asphalt.
So moved.
Somebody like to make a second? Who was that? Trustee Roll? Any questions?
Brian, this is coming out of the sewer and water fund,
That's local.
local fuel tax.
Sorry, this is our local, yeah.
Is
And our 1% gas tax.
gas tax, is
Part
any
of
other
each.
reimbursement? Was any other reimbursement?
Quick question, call roll.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Trustee Hart. Trustee Lynch.
Yes.
Trustee Roll. Yes. Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Williams.
Department reports, finance.
Mayor, we have the budget from the board, we gave to the board, last board meeting for approval, there was a motion to waive the auxiliary mat. There's no changes, other than the motion to approval again.
And we'll be discussing the raises in closed session, so this is just for the budget, not the raises.
So we're not including the raises in this budget?
We're approving the budget, but we're going to come back and approve it.
Why don't we just do it?
You're approving an amount not to exceed in the budget.
I'd rather wait, can we wait till?
Sure. Fire, we'll wait till we go into closed session. Fire and building, fires.
Yes, included in your packet, is a report on the, page 6 different proposals before you. You'll see that in my report, we went out for bid on electrical, plumbing, heating, and ventilating, all the steel structure, the roofing, and the garage door, the exterior second floor wall framing. And we held a pre-bid meeting on October 30 at 10 a.m. And many of those vendors were present. And then the bids were all due November 13. We did receive bids, multiple bids on most of those disciplines, with the exception of drywall, fire sprinkler, and interior framing, which I didn't receive any bids for, so we'll put those out in the final packet. There's a description of each one of the reviews we did. The recommendation on the electrical for the building is to O'Neill Electrical Services Incorporated an amount of $109,763. The plumbing, we received 3 bids for that. Alec Plumbing was the low bidder on that, responsive low bidder at $104,340,000. On the HVAC, heating and ventilating and air conditioning, that low responsive bidder was Van Dunen Heating, the amount of $105,683.
On the steel, that was I had bid it out with 3 different packets for the steel. One was for the provision of the materials, the other one was for the erection of the steel, and the other one was for the second floor structural wall. So when those all came together, the low bidder had not included the enclosure of the second floor, which was a considerable difference, and they weren't able to provide for that. So the next bid was from Erection out of Morris, Illinois, and that bid amount was $264,450. Roofing, there were 2 proposals for roofing. The lowest responsive bidder was Calderon Enterprises out of South Holland, in a bid amount of $68,100. Garage doors, there's 6 new garage doors that will be installed here with the openers, and A Better Dock and Door Services was the responsive low bidder in the amount of $67,500. It did list out the 3 that we were unable to get proposals on, and you'll see included in your packet was the original bid notices that went out on each one of the different disciplines. And next in your packet was the list of all the bidders we sent them out to. It should be noted that we also send those to the Minority Contractors Association and to the local union representation here, the laborers, and they sent it out, so we have a good mix of bidders that came back and responded to this program. You'll see the minutes from the pre-bid meeting, the minutes from the meeting of opening all the bids. And next item of importance is the budget tally sheet that I worked up originally, showing a total cost which was approved at $1,480,500. Our first bid awards, which were for the plans and specs, the demolition, the excavation, the foundations and footings, and the masonry or brickwork, were awarded by this board for $495,275.55. The total of requested awards tonight is $614,153, leaving a balance to complete the project of $370,000. And if you check what is left out in the budgeted amounts, I believe we'll come in right around the original estimate for the construction. You also have included there all of the bid worksheets that were received. I'm happy to report that the weather has really been favorable to us. We have the demolition complete. The foundations and footings are in, it's backfilled. The bricklayer will be starting on Monday. And Public Works and I met out there yesterday to get a game plan on bringing the sewer and the water line in. So with the award of these, this will keep us on schedule with the hope that we can still get this building enclosed before the winter weather conditions take part.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion, and then we'll open it up for questions for the approval of the proposal for renovation work at Fire Station number 2. The bid's going to O'Neill Electric in the amount of $109,763. Alex Plumbing, $104,340. HVAC to Van Drunen, $105,683. Steel to Nico Electric. Erection, I should say, $264,450. The roofing to Calderon in the amount of $68,100. And the bay doors to a better door, $67,500. Would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Trustee Clark, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Taylor. Any questions for the chief?
So this doesn't increase the project cost, right?
At this point, no.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is there any federal money we have coming in for Lincoln Hall? We do not. There was one state program that I made application for that the fire marshal came out with. We don't have an answer on that yet. We're still in the running. That could be, it's only $100,000, but it's $100,000. So we don't know when they'll have the first awards of that. It's the first time ever fire station renovation award from the state fire marshal.
We're not going to use any of the award money from Robin County?
No, that can only be used for the infrastructure on the drainage project.
But that's gonna be, it's gonna be fire.
It is the same. No, the fire department served by the other drainage area. But remember when that whole project came out, her award of, is it 1.2? 1.2 is applied to the detention pond at the school property and the piping coming down Gay Court. So it is all interconnected, but it's not specific to the building. All of this building money comes out of TIF money, already in the bank. No village funds, budgeted funds are anticipated.
Any other questions? For question, call roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Park? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Rowe? Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Somebody like to make a motion to go into closed session?
Could I just make one announcement? That is, thank you very much for your confidence in what we're doing. But on December 16th, the firefighters will be doing their tour around town to collect food and toys for the children. We've already identified several families in Glenwood that need our help. And I encourage anybody, especially if you have connections with your homeowners groups, church groups, if you can identify anybody who may need assistance in this holiday season, please get a hold of myself or the deputy chief so that we can add them onto the list. And then we'll actually be delivering Christmas to all these families we've identified on December 20th on the fire trucks. And that's a pretty heartwarming day. So we appreciate your help.
I'm sorry, Mayor, Chief, I have, can I ask
Yeah, absolutely.
one question, one request. There were a few residents who had some issues with the power being knocked out with the construction over there.
Yeah, there was, the one young lady lives on the corner of Roberts and Manor, was the one, had the power issue. The rest of them all cable and AT, and there was a line that was hit that, it was never identified, so I'm sure we'll go through that with Julie on the locate, but there was one line that wasn't identified, and it did get broken, but that's all been fixed.
So I didn't know.
I did talk to the home, both of them, and they're gonna give us.
So we're gonna
The construction company going to cover the cost of the resident?
Well, I think that when it comes back down to it, that was an unidentified line. We'll have to claim it against the Julie locate people, but we are on top of it. And the only other thing I heard was, I think the same people were complaining because we started too early, a couple of days, so I've addressed that as well.
So that was gonna be my next.
Yeah.
Just when the next phase of construction starts, send out a roll call perhaps, just so that.
It's only those few right in there. I've talked to all of them, and we'll keep them posted. And it wasn't actually the work that started, it was the delivery of the machines that created that on the street in front of them. So we have identified that.
Would somebody like to make a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Trustee Lynch. Trustee Rowe. For question, call roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Park? Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Rowe? Yes. Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.